everyone and welcome back to another video. So in one of my last videos, I am filming a couple tonight. I looked at some posts that I found on the Threads app, which is kind of like the new Twitter, only slightly less scary for me, but still people have some wild takes on there, and that's what we're going to be looking at in this video. I just picked a bunch of posts that I thought raised some interesting discussion points. We're going to be reading through them today and just kind of casually discussing it. This isn't scripted, this isn't overly planned out, it's just something nice and simple. Also, Kyra is snoring underneath the camera. The microphone is as far away from her as possible and pointed in the other direction, so hopefully it's not picking it up too much. But we are filming this at 1 AM in the morning and she is tired, so, you know, she's in her bed under the camera. She needs to sleep, bless her. First post we have is this one saying, if your man doesn't let you, as a woman, go out, drink and party, go to a girls' trip, have male friends, or wear provocative clothing, you don't have a controlling man, you have a man who cares. And sorry, but no, this is a controlling, insecure little boy. As his very first commenter said, the moment you wrote let you, you've established that it's about control and not about caring. If a man is getting insecure because you simply have friends and wear clothes, that's a big problem. As a person, as a woman, as an individual, you should absolutely be able to have control over what platonic friends you have, over what you wear and how you present your body and what you feel comfortable in, and also where you go. There's nothing wrong with having a girls' trip or drinking and partying or even going out. It's such a basic thing. You should absolutely be able to have your independence, and it's mad to me that people think otherwise just because you're in a relationship. If you have trust, if you have communication, if you have honesty, these things aren't an issue, you know? I'm always popping down to London to see my friends. I'm going out to bars to have a drink with Meg and even my friend Joe. As someone who's been in a relationship for coming up to 2 years now, me and Kieran are very, very committed. We're very happy. There's no trust issues, but we also have very independent lives, which really, really works for us. His friends are lovely and I trust him and them 100%. There's no worries. They are some of the nicest people ever. And he knows my friends and loves them, and he has no issues with me doing stuff alone. He lets me, see, I'm saying it now, he lets me. No, he doesn't. He doesn't have a problem with me doing all the same things I would if I was single, like going out dancing with Meg, or going down to London to see Daisy and the girls, or going and performing at an open mic night with Sammy or something like that. Because none of that is a threat to our relationship. He knows that I'm not going to behave inappropriately in those situations because I'm in a relationship, you know? We've made that commitment to each other. I'm entirely loyal to him. I'm not going to be behaving inappropriately just because he's not there to stop me. And I feel like if you have to be there to stop someone doing something, to stop them breaking your trust, then you don't have that trust in the first place, do you? Since I've been with Kieran, I've been on holidays alone, I am going to a festival alone soon, and none of it's a problem. If you're secure in your relationship and you trust your partner, you don't need to control her. And funnily enough, I say this as someone who has been incredibly insecure in relationships in the past, and honestly for good reason. I've had issues with my partners being around certain friends or going to certain places without me, and it did stem from insecurity and a lack of trust. I didn't want them going to such and such a place without me because, I didn't trust that they wouldn't cheat on me. And when they did go, they cheated on me. I didn't want them being around a certain friend that I didn't trust because I thought that, something would happen there. And when they were alone, something did happen there and I got cheated on. All these sorts of things. So just me being all insecure and being I don't want you to do those things didn't actually make a difference. Because it turns out they were going to do them anyway. So I feel like if you're having these worries about your partner doing this stuff, you either need to reevaluate yourself and your own insecurities or reevaluate the relationship and be well, why are they making me feel this way? When you get to that point where you have enough self-confidence to not be intimidated by other people and you're with someone who you can really, really honestly trust, none of this stuff is an issue. It doesn't matter how they dress or who their friends are or whatever, because you know your relationship's strong. I think if you're feeling this way, one of the biggest things you can ask yourself is, am I insecure about them being with anyone and doing anything? Is this a general thing? It's just that I don't think any partner should do X, Y, and Z. Because in that case, it's your insecurity and it's your fault and that's something you need to work on because you are being controlling. But if you're having thoughts of like, well, I don't trust them with this person for these reasons, I don't trust them doing this thing for these reasons, then maybe you need to have a look at the relationship and think like, well, why don't you trust them? What have they done to break your trust or maybe just not earn your trust, and evaluate it that way. Either way, it's not healthy for either of you, and there are steps you can take to likely leave that relationship or make it better in some way. Okay, in the last thread, we had a crazy post filled with biphobia posted during Pride Month. And this one was also posted during Pride Month, which said, "Didn't you ever stop to think that maybe Pride isn't for kids? Not every place is or should be kid-friendly." Then they followed this up by saying, "Some parents may feel their children may see something they're not ready for at something like a Pride parade." Now, I get it. There are different kinds of Pride events. Some are more adult and some aren't. Some are just fun, bright, colourful parades. Or here in Leeds, we usually have like a kind of concert going on. And it's usually really fun. Like, I didn't go to last year's, but the year before I went with Kieran and my sister and her wife. And actually, they weren't married then. She was just fiancé, I think. But anyway, wife now was the difference. And we went to the concert bit that was like outdoors, and yeah, the pubs are all open serving alcohol and everyone's having a drink and a dance and it was fun. And there were a few kids here and there, but it was entirely kid appropriate. Like, there was nothing raunchy, there was nothing adult about it. It's like you had that woman from Girls Aloud, the one that everyone always forgets. She performed. You had some amazing local drag queens doing some songs from musicals. You had a couple of local musicians performing. And who was the big band? And then you had like some local dance troupes and stuff, and it was all very fun. It was all very camp. It was very cheesy. It's just silly. It was great. We had a wonderful time. I don't think any of that is inappropriate for kids. And the overall message of just inclusivity and everyone being accepted, I think that's a beautiful thing to show to kids. Taking kids of any age to an event that is all about celebrating who you are and being proud of who you are is a brilliant thing, and I don't understand why anyone would have a problem with that. Now, yeah, there are slightly more adult events, but those are usually advertised as being more adult, so you know not to take your kids. And that's not an issue with kids being at a Pride event, that's issues with kids being at adult events. So this person commented saying, "Definitely a lot of aspects are not ideal for children, I agree. It would be really weird and creepy for my husband and I to be proud of heterosexuality and to celebrate our straight sex with kids, like WTF. And I'm like, tell me you've never been to a Pride event. Come on. Because it's not about celebrating gay sex. It's just not. It's about celebrating equality and highlighting how we still have such a long way to go. And it's about celebrating inclusivity. And it's about normalizing people of all sexualities and genders and making sure people are aware that, you know, they exist, they're here, they still have needs, you know? When people bring up this thing of like, oh, well, we don't celebrate straight pride and that sort of thing, like, I'm always like, come on, because you don't need to. Straight relationships are everywhere. They are constantly thrown down people's throats. From the minute kids are born, they are quite literally bombarded with straight relationships. From a mum and dad in the Topsy and Tim books I read when I was a kid, to the, you know, mum and dad in the Puddle Lane books I read when I was a kid, to then starting to watch, you know, Disney films where it's always the princess gets the man and blah, 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 or, you know, the man rescues the princess and they share a kiss at the end and then they get married in a straight heterosexual wedding. And then as I started to grow up a bit more and I was like watching soaps and stuff with my parents, so much of it was about these straight relationships, and they were, for lack of a better term, shoved down my throat from a young age. They were shown to me as the default. You don't see people complaining about that, do you? So why is it when we say, you know what, let's maybe make sure kids are aware that all relationships are normal and okay. Let's make sure that kids are aware that trans people exist. Like, that sort of basic stuff. I don't get why people have such an issue with it. is mad to me, because we're not saying we want kids to be watching gay sex. No one's saying that. What we're saying is we just want gay relationships and trans people. We want queer people to be as normal as straight people. Simple as that. Thankfully, you get some people making sense, like this person who says, why wouldn't celebrating love and acceptance be for kids? Absolutely. Another person points out daytime is families, nighttime is for adults, which is the distinction in a lot of places. Yeah. Another great person said, the rainbow family is an important aspect of Pride. It's the adults taking part to Pride 2024 who should take into consideration that there might be children in attendance and should, obviously not referring to drag monarchs, but to nudity or lewd behaviour. Yeah, I just thought that was worth discussing, and that's something I'd like to hear your thoughts on down in the comments. No bigotry, please. That's not welcome here. Okay, the next kind of thread that I want to discuss is this one showing a video clip of this woman, and she's on a train, and this guy comes up to her from the outside of the train, and he's kind of hitting on her, and he breathes on the window and draws a heart, and he's like flirting with her through the glass, and in response, she just shows him her wedding ring, you know, because they can't talk, it's through the glass, but she's like, not interested, I'm engaged, married, taken, whatever. And I think that's absolutely fair, great. But the amount of people in those comments who are shaming that woman for simply rejecting someone hitting on her is terrifying. So there's this subreddit on Reddit, surprisingly, called When Women Refuse, and it is full of absolute horror stories of just, you know, when a woman turns down a man or something like that and he responds with violence, and how, like, it really brings home how dangerous it is for women to just merely exist. You know, and I feel like we kind of see that to a lesser extent here. She wasn't rude to him. She didn't even outright reject him. She was just like, I'm taken. You know, it was nothing personal to him, and men are still mad about it. This person said, just because you're a married woman, it doesn't mean you can't be polite and acknowledge the fact that another man aside from your husband finds you attractive. Okay, yeah, sure, but she was polite. She just showed him her wedding ring. How is that not being polite? These same men would be complaining if she was flirting back and leading him on. These same men would be complaining if she just said thank you, because that would be leading him on too. But the minute she's like, that's somehow not being polite. She didn't even flat out reject him and say, I'm not interested in you. She literally just was like, I'm married. And they still find a problem with that. This person then used to complain about women saying, why don't men approach us anymore? And honestly, I don't think I've ever heard a woman say that. If anything, women are complaining that too many men are approaching them at inappropriate times. And I've discussed this before in many, many videos. This person's building a strawman argument that is just absolute crap. Another man replied with, it still made her day, don't let her say otherwise. Because yeah, we wouldn't want a woman voicing her own opinion, would we? Maybe let her decide if she took it as a compliment or not. I don't know, just saying. Next up, I am going to talk about a thread which links very, very closely to that first one that we discussed, where this man says, are you okay with your partner going to bars/clubs without you? And again, as a person in a relationship, I say yes, because why not? He should absolutely be allowed to go out and have his fun and see his friends. Just because I can't be there or don't want to be there doesn't mean he shouldn't get to go, you know? We do things together when we can, but sometimes I don't want to go out, or he doesn't want to go out, or it's an event that either one of us isn't interested in, so why should that stop the other one of us doing it? You know what I mean? Crazy. But that's not what the people on Threads say. This one says, no, I've been to a lot of bars/clubs. It's meant for singles/cheaters. I think you're going to the wrong places, mate. Just saying, just saying. No, not because I don't trust him, but because there's no reason for him to be at the bars/clubs. Again, this worries me, because I'm like, what's your reason for going there then? And why is it so weirdly narrow that you have to be single for it, you know? Because for me, if I go to a nice bar, it's because maybe they've got drinks there that I want to enjoy. Like, one of my favourite places in Leeds is Watermark, which do the best amaretto sour cocktail that I've ever had. It's fantastic. I will go there for that anytime that I can. I'm not going there to pick people up. Just want a good amaretto sour. Other times you go because you want to catch up with a friend and have a bit of a gossip over a glass of wine. Sometimes you just want to go out and dance, because I love a good bad dance to some cheesy music. And you know, me and Meg will go out dancing, me and Daisy will go out dancing. Great fun, love it. Or sometimes I'm friends with a lot of musicians, so I'll go to their shows to see them perform. Because you want to be a supportive friend. They're the reasons. And Kieran goes out by himself Sometimes it's a work do, and he wants to go out and socialise with his colleagues. Sometimes it'll be like his friends want to go watch a football match, and while neither me or him are really into football, he'll put up with it to go see his friends, whereas I'm sometimes like, I'd rather give it a miss, you know? They're all valid reasons for being at a bar. Madness. This man says, if she's mine, she doesn't even have a desire to go. There is no man in this world that is more interesting than a nice glass of wine and a gossip with your oldest friend. Come on. If you're with someone and you feel like you should be her entire world and all she ever wants to do, and well, not like that, you know what I mean, but like being with you is all she ever wants to do and you're the only person she should socialise with, then I don't know, I just feel a bit sorry for you. It's insecurity, isn't it? Thankfully though, there are sane people, again, like this person who says, I'm totally okay. Trust is the most important thing in a relationship, and if you don't trust your partner, there's no point in being with them. My freedom and theirs doesn't end with the start of the relationship. Absolutely, could not agree more. Oh, well, sorry, another one here. You'll have so little trust in your partner that they can't go enjoy social activities, because if you think them going out unsupervised will result in cheating, just stay single and save yourself the insecurity and jealousy. Exactly. And again, I say this as someone who has been repeatedly cheated on and hurt a lot, and it led to a hell of a lot of insecurity. But I did begin to realise that all of that insecurity I had was there for a good reason. And it's because I couldn't trust my partner, because they would cheat and they would do these things to hurt me. And so in that case, it wasn't, the solution wasn't me exerting more control and trying to stop them doing these things, which is what I was trying to do at the time. But I realised that's the wrong thing to do. I just needed to break up with them and find someone better, someone actually deserving of my trust. And it turns out when you actually date someone nice and decent and trustworthy, there's none of that insecurity. This person brings up an interesting point. She says, seems weird. If he needs to go to a bar more than we could go together as a couple or with mutual friends, I'd probably be suspicious of him having developed a drinking problem. If he went on occasion with trusted friends, probably wouldn't have a problem with it. I used to allow my ex occasional drinking buddies until he developed an addiction, so I tread that line carefully because I don't want to be with someone who's not in a healthy place. And on the one hand, I see her point a little bit, but on the other, that one line there about I used to allow him occasional drinking buddies, again kind of screams of control. And also, like, I think this comes down to less about, like, who they're with and more about, like, the frequency of it. Like, I think if my partner was going out drinking every night, whether that was with me or not, I would be concerned. But I think that's a whole different matter to if you can trust them all. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's different for me seeing this because, like, me and Kieran aren't really ones to go out very often. When I talk about, like, going dancing with the girls, I'm like, okay, that's like a once every 4 months kind of thing, because I'm not really a big one for going out to loud places. And same with Kieran, like, he's, you know, we're talking like kind of like a once a month sort of thing, if that. Whereas, you know, things like D&D for me are like every other week. So I don't know. I'm not quite sure how to put this into words. I kind of understand her point, but at the same time, I think she's conflating problematic drinking with just socialising in general. Does that make sense? I don't know. I'm not sure I have the brain capacity to put this into words right now. Maybe let me know your thoughts on that one down in the comments. This person is possibly the most insecure man in this entire thread. He says, if she's going to the club without you, she might as well end up getting pounded by someone else as well. Yes, because having a vodka lemonade and a good dance to some cheesy 90s pop is exactly the same as sleeping with someone else. Oh, actually, another insecure man here. He's giving the last one a run for his money. He says, no, if they insist on it, we're through. There's absolutely no reason for a person in a relationship to go clubbing in a meat market where the literal purpose of the place is to drink, flirt, and hopefully hook up. Again, I worry that that's what you think the purpose of a club is, and not to just go and have a fun dance. You're kind of projecting a lot here, mate, I'll be honest. The very last post that we are going to talk about in this video is this one from a woman who said, I just got a call from my friend that her boyfriend just broke up with her. A relationship of 15 years. 15 wasted years. Oh my god. Sorry, but were they really wasted? Because to me, as long as a relationship was fun while it lasted and you both got something out of it and you loved each other, you built something amazing together, even if it ends, that's not a waste. It's still a really positive thing. Because, like, I've always said this, like, about my ex Dan. We were living together for like 4 years, and he obviously wanted marriage and all that sort of thing. And I've always been quite open about talking about this. And I feel like even though I broke up with him because we were becoming different people, it was the right thing to do. There are a lot of little factors. I started to feel a bit controlled by him and all that sort of thing. So I ended it when I did. That was the right thing to do. But I don't feel like the years we spent together were a waste. I absolutely loved him during that time. I adored him for the most part, and we both, allowed each other to grow in positive ways and not so positive towards the end. But for the most part, yeah, in positive ways. He's the one who encouraged me to start a YouTube channel. He gave me that courage to do that, and I helped him through this transition between like uni and work and that sort of thing, and we did build a really wonderful life together. We got Kyra together. I wouldn't have my little girl if it wasn't for being with him, and I think that's a really positive thing. Even though we broke up, I don't count those years as a waste. That was not a wasted relationship. That wasn't a failed relationship. It was a really, really successful, positive relationship that happened to end. And I'm really tired of seeing people as the end of relationships as being some sort of failure, as though divorce is a bad thing, breakups are a bad thing. They can be, but they can also be really wonderful things. They can be the start of a new chapter. They can open you up to new amazing opportunities. Just because one part of your life ends, that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Let's say if you decide to change jobs because you've been offered a promotion, so you go into a new role, or you go work for another company that you like more. That's not to say your years before that job were a waste. All of that helped build you up to get you to where you are today, and it's the same with past relationships. I think what I find weirdest about this thread, though, is that the thing most people were hung up on was the idea that they were in a relationship for 15 years without being married. So again, it comes back to this. Actually, I can't remember if I was speaking about this in this video or the last one. I think it was the last one. But this idea that, like, marriage has to be the end goal for everyone. Marriage is the only measure of success. Relationships aren't real if it doesn't end in marriage, or I don't know. I hate it. I hate it so much. Like, you literally have people saying, now why on earth were they dating for 15 years? Maybe because they wanted to. Maybe because they were happy that way. And yes, it ended, so they stopped being happy at some point, but maybe for 14 of those years they were blissfully happy the way they were. Not everyone wants marriage, and not everyone needs marriage, and that is absolutely okay. And it's not fair on anyone else to judge, is it? You literally have people commenting things like, her bad, 15 years with no ring should have told her something at least 5 years ago. These people are acting like it's up to the man to decide when to get married, and like every woman wants marriage. Have you thought that maybe they discussed it and realised that it's something that neither of them want, and they were both okay with this? Maybe he did propose to her and she said no because it's not what she wanted. Madness. Other people are completely devaluing the relationship because they're not married. This one woman says, well, I mean, he was just a boyfriend, not like he was a husband or anything. Big believer in don't let your boyfriend stop you from meeting your husband. Like, so what? Are you saying that if she was with this man for 15 years, then somehow that's easier to get over and move on from than if she'd been married to someone for 1 year? No, absolutely not. You can't determine the seriousness of a relationship and how it affects people based on these arbitrary labels of long-term relationship or marriage. To different people, they mean different things. Just stop it. Stop it. Thankfully, though, we have some sanity, so there's always a little bit in there, thankfully. We have to talk about it. This person says, I left my marriage after 11 years married and almost 14 together. Those years weren't wasted, and they wouldn't have been either if we didn't marry. I don't think any relationship is wasted. You learn and grow so much during that time, even if it doesn't last. Why wasted? I'm sure the relationship served its purpose. So thank God for those people. There is a little bit of sanity out there, and I am very grateful for that. But anyway, this is where I'm going to end this video. Thank you so much for watching today. I'm exhausted, so I think I'm going to go to bed. I have more to film, but I'm very tired, so let's just end this here. Thanks for watching.